We're here in the state capital of Chiapas, the city of Tuxtla Gutierrez. And we're gonna head downtown and have a look around. So let's get going. So we've just made our way down here to the center square in Tuxtla Gutierrez, and thought I would talk a little bit about the history of the city and the area, as it's very fascinating and a little bit different from a lot of other places that we've seen in Mexico. So as I mentioned in the intro, Tuxtla Gutierrez, or Tuxtla as it's known colloquially, is the capital of the state of Chiapas. Chiapas is one of the most southern states in Mexico. It primarily borders a lot of Guatemala, and so you see a lot of migration happening here from Guatemala and other points in Central America up through Mexico. Tuxtla has been here since prehistoric times, at least, if not longer. Of course, there are not a lot of records that go back that far. So the Zoques were the first pre-Hispanic settlement that were located on this site, or approximately where we are today here in Tuxtla. The town at the time, or the village, was named Coyactoc, which was translated to land of rabbits. And then in the late 15th century, around 1485 or so to 1500, the Aztecs actually moved into this region and took control. They renamed it in their own language, Tuxtlan, which literally translated to the same thing, land of rabbits. And they controlled this area until, of course, the Spanish arrived in about 1528. So after 1528, of course, the Spanish took control of the city and the area. There is no official founding date in the records for Tuxtla. However, by 1560, the monasteries were built here, and from that point forward, basically, the town continued to grow. Tuxtla today is one of the fastest growing cities in Mexico. It is considered one of the, they call them the cities of the future, in that they expect the growth to continue. It is a very popular city for trade. It has a big transportation hub here, both as an airport and bus. Not a lot of tourists, I would say, come to Tuxtla, which is interesting to me, given that it's a state capital. But primarily people do use it to go to other sites in the region. So if you have been around my channel for a while, you'll know that last year, in 2024, I actually was in the northern end of Chiapas, up in Palenque. Palenque was a really cool town, had some really amazing ruins up there to see, and I really enjoyed my time. I actually was in Tuxtla last year, but only for about 2 hours. I was actually transferring from Oaxaca up to Palenque, and just by nature of how the bus routes worked, I ended up having to get to here in Tuxtla and then transfer on to another bus. It was a very long day when I was here in Tuxtla before. I wasn't actually expecting to be transferring through there, because if you look at a map, you would see that you would think that going from Oaxaca up to Palenque wouldn't even include here, but it did. And so it ended up being about a 14-hour travel day that day, because the first bus that arrived in Tuxtla was late. So it was late, and I missed my transfer, so I had to take a second bus, and it was a whole thing. But regardless, I am back. I'm here in Tuxtla again, and here to explore the city. In the Central Park area here, there's a few different things of note. There is the cathedral just at the far end of the park here, the Central Park. And then surrounding on this side is government buildings and offices that go all the way around. The state Senate government house is actually just over here to the left. So I thought today, since we're in Tuxtla, there's a few different things here that I wanted to check out. I actually wanted to go out yesterday, but the weather was kind of rainy, and some things were actually closed because it was a Monday. So today is Tuesday, so I'm here, and the first place we're going to go to is the one that I am quite interested in, being a fan of all things coffee. They have a museum of coffee here in Tuxtla for the state of Chiapas, which is a very famous coffee growing region in Mexico. It has a very distinct flavor to it, which I really like, and I thought we'd go check out the museum while we're here. The museum is just a couple blocks this way, so let's head on over and have a look. So if you're in Tuxtla and you're looking for the Museum of Coffee for Chiapas, it's very easy to find. Basically, I am just 1 block from the main square, came around the corner, and it's this green building right here. You can't miss it. And very ornate and very bright green, so it's easy to find. So let's go inside and take a look. So when you first arrive, it's 50 Mexican pesos to get in, which is about $3 US, $4 US. And they have this really cool museum here, which we're going to take a walk through. Some of it's in English and Spanish, some of it's Spanish only, but that's totally fine. And at the end of the little walk through here, there's actually a cafe at the back. And when you arrive there, you can get 1 coffee included. So you can get an espresso or a cafe Americano. So well worth it. I mean, the coffee alone is probably that price, so to get that, plus this little museum walkthrough is pretty cool. I'm not gonna go through and read everything that's here. I'll kind of show you some of the stuff, but just kind of as an introduction. So back in 1500, it says here, Geronimo Mancinelli brought bourbon plants from Guatemala and planted them here. And then after that, the sort of coffee industry in Chiapas was born. So this first chart here kind of tracks through the whole history of coffee in the Chiapas region. It actually starts back in 1500s, back in Guatemala. And after that time, throughout history, you can see there's a slow, constant move north through Central America up into Mexico. So there's almost a 350-year history of the travels of the coffee coming from Guatemala and finally making its way up to here in Chiapas. So it's a pretty cool little museum here. They got lots of kind of examples of how it started. You know, the original roasting processes over open flame that would have occurred, grinding the coffee. There's this really cool mural here that kind of shows some of the history, all tied into, you know, coffee and corn and stuff in the region. They are working on this new mural, it looks like. It's a little diorama set up here showing, you know, the coffee plants and picking the coffee and how it kind of all started originally. Here's a map here of some of the different areas in Mexico where coffee is grown, and then a map, of course, showing the other parts of the world where coffee comes from. Everyone's pretty well familiar, I think, at this point with coffees from, you know, South America, Mexico, the African sort of mid-continent, and then over in Asia. And Mexico ranks number 8 in the world for coffee production. Some examples here, some different types of beans that they have. There's, you know, different species, different origins, and then all the different flavors and stuff that come in as part of that. This next section here kind of shows the processing steps that are involved, going from sort of some of the oldest versions here with sort of the hand crank grinders through to the more the automated processes that have come into play over the years. Talks about, you know, some of the industrialization levels that come into play here. It's quite an elaborate process that has kind of grown out of just a simple bean. Anyway, that's just a quick little tour here of the museum itself. And now let's go out and get some coffee. Just while I'm waiting for my coffee to come out, they're just making it here. There's a little chart here that kind of shows the history again of the coffee in Chiapas. It's a beautiful old building. Really cool spot, and looking forward to some good coffee as well. So I got my little cup of Chiapas coffee here, just a cafe Americano. I didn't want to put any cream or milk or anything into it. I wanted to keep it totally legit, and let's try it out. Yeah, that's really good. Delicious coffee. I've had some other Chiapas coffee since I've been here, and this is just as good as the rest of it. So, really cool little spot here, the Museum of Coffee for Chiapas. So if you're in Tuxtla and you're looking for something to do that's, quick and easy and fairly affordable, this is one of the places to come check out. So I thought our next stop would be a two-parter. We're going to head this way. It's about a 10-minute to 12-minute walk. And there are two sections to it. There's the Regional Anthropological Museum, and then there's also the Botanical Gardens too. So let's head over there now and take a look. The clouds are rolling in over the hills. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it looks pretty threatening at the moment. But we'll see how it goes. So that wasn't bad. It was only, I would say, about 10 minutes to here. And we're just going to head up through here. This is the Botanical Gardens on the right, and the museum is just up ahead on the left. So we'll head up to the museum first, have a look around there, and then head back to the gardens. The rain has held off. Actually, the sun has started to come out again, so a bit of a mixed bag today, but nice breeze, so that's good. Anyway, let's head on up to the museum. So you can see there's actually 4 different stops here that you can make. The Botanical Museum on the left, just up ahead, and then of course the Botanical Gardens are on the right. There's also the Museum of Archaeology and History, which is where we're heading to, and then there's also the Museum of Paleontology. So it's all kind of in a nice kind of grouped area, which makes it super easy if you're here in Tuxtla and you want to go check out some of the history of the area and learn a little bit more about it. It's kind of all sort of in the same park. And I believe this first one here is the Botanical Museum, which we're not going to go to because I want to go check out the gardens themselves instead. But we're heading up to the History Museum first. This park is amazing. Yeah, just a beautiful walk up through the forest here with all the different museums and the botanical gardens. And we're actually just sitting across from the Regional Museum of Chiapas, which is where all the history and anthropology is. Spectacular spot. I mean, it's only about 10 minutes, I would say, a walk from the downtown square area, and definitely worth it if you're in the city to come over here and check this place out. Let's head inside and get our ticket and get looking at the Museum of Chiapas. So we're inside. There was actually no charge. It was free to get in today, which was awesome. I don't know if it's because there's a festival on right now in Chiapas, so maybe that's part of it. Here in Tuxtla, I mean, not like a Chiapas festival in Tuxtla. Anyway, so I'm not sure if that's the reason why, but there was no charge. And I asked her and she said camera was fine, just no flash, which is awesome. So this chair, according to the piece here at the bottom, says that this is a friar armchair and was one of the first pieces of furniture brought by the Spanish conquistadors to America. See these really beautiful paintings and stuff on the walls here too. Some very intricate paintings and frames here. This one here has just got a crazy wooden frame around it. This stone carving of a lion is undated. It says it's from the Tapachula city. I know it's a Tuesday, but I'm very surprised to see that there's nobody else here. Some example of some clothing from Tapachula, 19th century. So that was just the first of 3. There's actually 2 more museums we're going to head over to here now. There's the Pre-Hispanic Museum for Chiapas, which is the one I'm most interested in. And then the third one is just over here to the left, near where the ticket booth was. Where you didn't have to buy any tickets, because it's free. So this next museum is the Museum of Prehistory here in Chiapas, which dates back to about 12,000 BC, based on the information. This museum opened in 1984, but traces back to the 1930s when the first exhibits were started here in the region for some of the prehistory of Chiapas. And it's a really cool place. There's a lot of authentic, original artifacts here from the region. I believe it might be the only museum for prehistory of Chiapas, so that makes it a little bit extra special. There's a map here of the migration throughout the Americas and shows the different years where they've confirmed that different, civilizations and people existed. Crossing over the Bering Strait about 35,000 years ago and continuing on south from there. Some of the earliest artifacts are actually from hunter-gatherer groups that would have been here starting 12,000 years ago. Some examples of some arrowheads that they have found and pieces of bone and other stone tools that would have been used in the region. And here's some more examples, some original stone tools for grinding and pounding out some of the different things like corn and whatever to kind of help refine it. Some of the first confirmed societies here in Chiapas. So you've got Chiapa de Corzo, which is very near the Tuxtla Gutierrez. And then there's some other ones down here along the coast. You get Paradon, La Chincoya, La Nueva, and so on. And this is, of course, the border here with Guatemala. So this engraving here, which is at least 2.5 meters tall, is of the deity Choc. And this was actually retrieved from an auction in France that was initially found in a private collection. And it's believed that it was created between 800 and 600 AD. There's actually a graphic here that kind of shows the different pieces of this, but just a amazing piece. I'm glad that it's back here instead of some rich person's private collection. So as I mentioned earlier, in the prehistory of Tuxtla, there was the Zoc people who lived here for thousands of years before the Spanish ever showed up, even before the Aztecs arrived in the region. And this is some examples of some of the things that they've uncovered here. And you've got these beautiful jade masks and jade jewelry that they have found here. And here's some more examples here. You've got, these small carvings of idols and jewelry and other incense devices, most likely. Some of the other examples they have here are some of these stone reliefs and statues. Just unbelievably well designed and really well maintained, this stuff too. So it's really, really pretty. So despite getting confirmation that I could film in here, I got a security guard who's watching me like a hawk. So I'm trying to be, fairly unnoticeable if possible when walking around here. So I'm going to take a few more pictures of this place and talk about it a bit more as a voiceover on some of the photos and videos I get with my phone. All right, so someone just came over and told me that I couldn't do any video at all, just photos. So I'm just going to continue to kind of walk around here. I've got my microphone paired with my phone at the moment to kind of look like I'm trying to do translations. Mexico continues to be the only place that gives you a hard time about filming some of their museums and history. So I don't really understand the point of it. But, I can totally understand not using flash, which I would never do anyway. Anyway, I'm just going to finish up here and then move on to my next stop. So anyway, that is the museum here in Chiapas, the Historical Museum, and then the abbreviated version of the Anthropological Prehistory Museum. I normally would just buy a ticket to film, but everything's free, and I asked, and she was like, no, it's no problem to, use a camera or record, just no flash. So that's what I did. And anyway, I got to the second museum, the prehistoric one, and they were like, no filming, please get out, the whole bit. So you're getting what you're getting, I guess, in this video from that museum. It's too bad because it's a really cool place. It's a beautiful spot. And I was the only one in there at the time. So I don't get it. Anyway, that's not going to ruin my day. Let's head over now to the Botanical Gardens and have a look around there. So we are here in the Botanical Gardens of Faustina Miranda here in Tuxtla. The entrance fee was 10 pesos and it closes at 3:30, so I've got about an hour or so. And she mentioned that this is kind of a loop you can walk through here to take a look. And I love green spaces like this in cities. You know, I've seen some pretty amazing ones along my trip, and this one appears no different. It's great. They've got lots of information here, you know, different kinds of plants, all identified with signs. They've clearly got some new plants that are getting ready to be added. But just an amazing place here in the middle of the city. They've even got these really nice kind of seating areas here that are shaded, although there's lots of shade already with the trees and things that are here. Really beautiful spot. I think there's another loop that just kind of goes up and around and reconnects up ahead here. So, you know, for a city that I don't think gets a lot of tourists, at least for any length of time other than just passing through like I did last time, there's certainly lots to offer here in Tuxtla, and we're just scratching the surface today. You know, at the main square and the Coffee Museum and then the regional museums and now this Botanical Gardens, and there's so much more to see. So Faustino Miranda, for whom this park is named after, was a Spanish botanist who came to Mexico at the early onset of World War II. During his time here, he was a professor and leader for much of the environmental and botanist groups here in Mexico. And so this park was named for him after that, and it's a really, really beautiful spot here in the middle of the city. You can see that great care has been taken with the park, you know, naming the different trees and different information about them. And they have this really nice paved kind of walkway through the park here to which you can enjoy it. This guanacast tree here is massive. I would say it is probably 3 meters in diameter and just towers over this place. And some really giant spiders. Anyway, that is our really nice little walk here through the Botanical Gardens. So if you're, again, if you're in Tuxtla and looking for something to check out, this is a nice little stop here, just sort of at the end of that little walkway we came up through where all the museums were earlier. Really, really pretty spot. So from here, we're going to head back down towards the square. It is well past lunchtime, so let's go find something to eat. So I just came over here to Taquitos Cypress, a few blocks from the Botanical Garden, just to pick up some tacos. And I got 2 mixed and 2 rib, and I'm starving, so I'm going to dig into these and enjoy them while I'm here. These are really good. So I thought I would give a quick room review here of where I've stayed in Tuxtla Gutierrez. I found this place on Airbnb, and it's in the residential campestre, which is kind of like a private sort of community, I guess, with the security at the front gate and everything. Great spot. I was here and it's been super quiet. The place I'm in is fully stocked. You know, it's got all the services and all of the things you would think you would need. I'll start here in the bedroom since I'm already standing here. This was a nice double bed that was here. Comfortable, a little hard, but it was all right. It was good enough, and had extra pillows. Super cold air conditioner here. Lots of storage space both here, and then over here there was also a closet where I could hang stuff and drawers for other things. Nice bathroom setup. You know, everything looks like it's fairly new. So there's a big, nice sort of walk-in shower with a rainfall shower head, a nice big sink and toilet and all that usual stuff. Lots of towels and good there. Out here was kind of my work area. This was like a dining table with a couple of chairs and a big flat screen TV on the wall, which you can see from the bed, which was nice. So in here is the kitchen. It was a fully stocked kitchen. Had a nice big full-size fridge, coffee maker, propane stove, microwave, lots of dishes and things and cooking equipment. So you can see under here, kind of, it's pretty dark, but lots of plates and stuff. Utensils were in there, frying pans and pots and all that sort of stuff. And there was also a sort of lounge area here, living room, if you want to call it that. Very comfortable sofa. I may have had a nap or two on that while I've been here. And yeah, it's great. I mean, you know, it's not a gigantic place by any stretch, but it is more than enough for one or two people. Been really happy with this place. It's been a really fantastic stay. I would have to say that's probably one of the better places I've had in terms of value for what you get. There's actually a cleaning staff that comes by, and every day they come in, made the bed, you know, swept and mopped the floors, changed the towels in the bathroom, all that sort of stuff. So that was all fantastic, all included. And yeah, I was really, really happy with this and lucky that I found it on Airbnb. The price does seem to vary a little bit depending on, I think, season probably. Like I'm kind of coming into the busiest part of the year now. However, I did get this for a really good price. I paid about $16 US, $15 US per night while I stayed here. And that was taxes and everything included. I am pretty close to the bus station. It's kind of in a weird spot here because you have to go around to the far side to get into the front entrance. So, you know, it's probably about a kilometer and a bit over to the bus station that way. Some other nice benefits of this area, there is a Walmart out on the front road. If you get out of here and you turn left, there's a Walmart like 5 minutes away, which was great because I was able to get groceries and pretty much cook all my own meals all week here. You know, there's lots of restaurants, there's fast food, there's local places, there's a little bit of everything. And if you walk back over towards where the bus station is, or take an Uber or a taxi over if you prefer, there's a full shopping mall there, and then a lot of other restaurants around in the area, local places, coffee shops, you know, the whole bit. So it's a pretty great area to kind of come if you want to settle here for a little bit and kind of, you know, check the town out. It is probably about 15 minutes to the main square where you saw in my video. There are collectivos that run all the way up and down the road here. So I would say this was probably one of the best deals that I've had anywhere in my travels. A lot of people keep asking me, oh, well, where do you find places for $15 a night? Well, here's another example. You can stay here for $15 US a night, 15, 16, probably. I think it's actually 15. I'll put the actual number here on the screen that I paid. And you've got full access, like a full kitchen, you've got a bathroom, you've got a private space to yourself, really good Wi-Fi here, a very quiet neighborhood, and I mean, all around just a great, great place to stay. So if you're coming to Tuxtla Gutierrez, here's the information on the screen on where to find this place. Big thumbs up, highest recommendation, and probably would see this show up on a list if I ever have to get around to doing a list of my top 10 or top 20 best deals that I have ever found on my travels. This would certainly be on that list. So that's going to do it for here in Tuxtla Gutierrez. I didn't even get to show you everything that I wanted to. I was sick for a couple days, but I would love to come back and shoot another video here. I can certainly see why people have recommended it to me. I've had people tell me that it's like their favorite place in Mexico, and I can start to see why a little bit. I didn't even get to the zoo that's here, featuring animals and plants from the region exclusively. I didn't get to Marimba Park to have a little dance to some live music there, and other places that I didn't get to as well. But I will be back, and I will do another video from here because this city is pretty amazing. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. If you'd like, please leave a comment or click that like button down below to let me know that you were here. If you haven't subscribed already, you can hit that subscribe button down there. That would be awesome. I have some donation links set up on the screen here as QR codes and both down in the description below. And remember, life is short. Wander. And I will see you in the next video.